Welcome to Aquarian Diary, where we discuss issues around the emerging age of Aquarius. I'm your host, John Irving. Thank you for joining me. Greetings all, it is August 27th, 2022. I want to share an experience I had with you last night that I had after I did my spiritual practice. After I do my spiritual practice, I tend to be very tuned in, very centered, very clear. So I had stopped and I was sitting and I experienced very viscerally these waves of energy coming in almost at like the rate of a human heart at rest. Ba-bump, 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 ba-bump. Like that. And what I got very clearly was that these were waves of higher dimensional energy that are coming in and intermingling with our current, more dense reality. And they're actually intermingling. I don't know if you've ever sat at the edge of the shore at a body of water where there was gentle waves lapping in, and you just feel these waves come in gently washing over you. And what's happening is that the energies are mixing together, but there's this constant infusion of another, like I said, higher dimensional energy. I then immediately thought about the timeline split, which I have discussed here on my channel. I did an episode on February 28th of 2022 titled The Great 2020s Timeline Split, which I will link in the description. And whoa, strong energy here. It became very clear to me, wow, that these energies are mixing and we're experiencing both simultaneously as they kind of blend. But this can be very disconcerting because we're kind of experiencing both timelines simultaneously. And sometimes we're flipping back and forth between them. Now, this kind of explains a lot of my own personal experiences and observations lately, because we're really at that threshold. We haven't fully moved into the higher timeline yet, but we're still largely immersed in the old timeline. I don't know exactly how long this transition is going to occur, but we're very much into it now. That rate of ba-bump, 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 whoa, strong energy, very strong energy. It's very incredible. It's, when I get energy like that, it's just an affirmation that what I'm saying is true and important. And so this can be very disconcerting because we're kind of flipping back and forth between these two timelines. It's like we're living in two different realities simultaneously. As I mentioned, that kind of explains a lot of things that I've been experiencing personally. Like, I don't know what other people have been experiencing, but I have been kind of laying low because this period is kind of confusing and, like I said, disorienting. I guess, which is understandable because we don't really know where we stand. We're not fully into it yet, and we're not fully out of it yet. And I think that those of us who are more sensitive are probably experiencing this. Like, I did an episode recently titled It's Over, talking about how I had this intuitive impression, very strong. It was more than just intuitive, it was psychic, that this whole drama with the former guy in the United States and everything was over. And then within a matter of a day or two, a whole bunch of other channels, psychics, readers, and so on, affirmed my observation because they basically said the same thing. And some people pointed that out in the comments section of that video. There was a lot of great comments on that video. So this is another thing that just was very visceral to me when I experienced it. And I wanted to share it with you because we're really, it sort of feels like we're either right at the shifting point where we're going to be starting to move more powerfully into this new higher dimensional energy, or we're right at that, it's like a wave, and we're right at the point where we're going to start making this shift, like in a bigger way. So I don't know how people who aren't sensitive are experiencing this. Like for them, this could be extremely confusing because what they're perceiving and feeling may be to them completely inexplicable and they have no context for it. At least I have a framework, a concept that I can attribute this to. As I've said before, I have really deep and powerful dreams. Dreams are my thing. And lately I have had several extraordinary dreams. And because of the way the dreams were structured and the way that the communication was going on with them, I felt that the source of a lot of this interaction was very extraterrestrial. And I say that because the way that they were communicating with me was extremely foreign. They don't have a language in the same way that we have a language that we use to communicate. I believe or speculate that they communicate very telepathically. So they are sending, strong energy here too, they are sending images. And then I have to kind of decipher those images and attribute meanings to them, which is a little bit hit and miss because I may misinterpret some of the imagery. But then I had a message that was delivered to me through multiple dreams over different days. And I was able to then piece it together and draw meaning from it because I could recognize a pattern over several days. And like I said, I inferred from this experience that this was coming from a very extraterrestrial source because of the way it was communicated. Like I said, they're not familiar with using language. They don't need to. And so that was extraordinary in itself because it felt like the source was like, if it was geographic, it would be extremely far away. Very distant. And I've had that repetitively. And like I said, that to me was an extraordinary experience in itself because I've never quite experienced anything like that before. If we think about our guides here, a lot of people talk about their spirit guides and stuff. And these are often, and quite often, typically, beings who have had other incarnations on Earth. So they know our conceptual framework and they know how we communicate and interact. But if you go really far out into the universe, we're talking about realities and states of consciousness and states of being that are completely foreign and unfamiliar to us. They may not even be physical. They may just be energies, beings who exist on the energetic dimensions. In fact, humans have this never-ending propensity to anthropomorphize everything. Like, we expect some alien species to be bipedal and to have male and female sexes and, like the classic image of God as a cranky, patriarchal, old white guy in a robe with a big white beard. It's just silly, really, to put it politely. And so why would an intelligent alien species even necessarily need to be physical? What many people have been looking for a century or whatever, may literally not exist. They may be extra-dimensional beings, life forms, that don't even exist on the physical dimension. It's silly the way we project our reality onto the entire universe. And that, I believe, is why we have been limited from experiencing and perceiving these other dimensions, is that they are literally outside of our paradigm. And I have talked a lot about paradigms here. And I've done episodes on that as well. So yeah, the hunt for alien life highly advanced beings, like I said, may not even be in the physical. And for those versed in spiritual experiences, that is often the case, isn't it? But you can't discuss that with a large majority of people because they just literally can't even conceive of anything that isn't physical and material, masculine, feminine, bipedal, or whatever, for the most part. The reason I'm explaining that is because I think that is partially related to these waves of energies that are coming in that are sort of opening up our ability to connect with or communicate with beings and places that are higher dimensional and extra dimensional, that may not even pertain to physical reality, that may not have those kinds of boundaries. It's funny, I talked about this in the Age of Aquarius stuff I've done, and Pluto moving into Aquarius and stuff like that. One of the things that I think is going to be difficult for humanity to come to grips with is that these extra dimensional experiences are not just an extrapolation of three-dimensional reality. We're including dimensions that we don't even know exist, that are actually part of reality. It's just that we have not been able to perceive them. But as these new higher dimensional energies come in and become more commonplace, more a part of our day-to-day experience, we are going to be having experiences that transcend physical time and space. A good metaphor might be that, or analogy might be that, in the past, people thought, the Earth was flat, and then we thought that the Earth was the center of the universe, and those beliefs constrained our ability to even conceptualize. We're now moving into a multidimensional awareness and reality. I've also talked about this before. I have to say this as well. YouTube tends to, and these platforms, the podcasting, YouTube, they tend to be focusing on content that is very immediate. But my library of content, if you go back and listen to it, it's speaking about the future. And so stuff that I recorded months ago is still really relevant. I know that people have an insatiable need for things that are new and immediate, but I'm just saying don't discount stuff that I have or we have talked about previously. So these waves of higher dimensional energy are coming in, and we're going to start experiencing a reality that is extremely foreign to what we have been familiar with for thousands of years. Whoa. Now, personally, I have also had this weird thing going on for a while now where I've had to sleep a lot. Like my physical vitality just isn't there, which is unusual for me. I usually have like more energy than I know what to do with. But I have spent a lot of time sleeping in the past month or so. Again, refer to the video I recorded in February titled The Great 2020s Timeline Split, which goes into more of the theory and mechanisms of this and what Dolores Cannon described. And mostly wanted to share this just as an observation and to see if other people have been experiencing something similar or perceiving something similar. I did that with the It's Over episode, and other people affirmed my experience and observation. So this is a very exciting observation if it's accurate, because what it's implying is that this shift is occurring much more intensely and much more powerfully. Now, that rate of energy that I experienced or perceived was very constant and fairly fast. Now, what we can anticipate, I believe, is that rate, ba-bum, 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 in the not too distant future, it'll be ba-bum, 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 ba-bum. And then when it hits a constant, like constant rate of a higher vibrational rate or frequency, we're in that new reality. Extremely exciting. I suspect that this may not have occurred on Earth for thousands of years, if ever. So to be able to perceive this and to be able to experience it is extremely remarkable. And many, many, many sources have said that there were lineups of billions of souls who wanted to incarnate on Earth here at this point in time because what's happening here is so significant and rare. We're in the midst of it right now. We're not fully into it, but we're very close, and it's coming in very quickly. How this will manifest materially is going to be extremely interesting to observe. I think we have to purge more of the darkness here on Earth, and I did an episode about setting our intentions around that, and I've talked about that many times before as well. Another phenomenon I have been experiencing, and I believe is related, is that it seems like time has sped up phenomenally. I do a daily spiritual practice, and I'm always like setting intentions and concentrating on various things that I believe I want to enhance or experience or let go of or whatever. And the rate at which those things have been occurring is completely unprecedented in my experience. It's almost like every day is like a new year. Things are happening so powerfully and so quickly, I could not even begin to describe it. I record and I journal a lot, and it's like stuff that I experienced 2 days ago that seemed to be extremely profound. Well, I've already moved on way down the road from that. Like just 2 days later, I'm into different terrain. Whereas it seems like in the past, I would have had to work on some of those things maybe for weeks or months even. I can move through things very quickly. Related to that, we have to be very careful about our consciousness and what it's focused on. Because as we move into these higher dimensional realities, our thoughts and the energy that we hold becomes much more powerful. So being vigilant about our awareness and our consciousness, I think we can deduce that that is important. But this thing about speeding up time also makes sense as well. Now, as that vibration increases, the heartbeat rate I was discussing, we're going to be moving into a time or space where things just, I think, are going to be happening really fast. So on a global scale, I mean, humanity could start evolving at a rate where maybe in the past it might have taken decades for things to shift or change. Things might change like within a few years on a grand scale or even less. And I think that will be even more amplified when Pluto moves into Aquarius starting in March of 2023. See my video on Pluto in Aquarius. Holy boy, more really powerful energy here. So that's really important. That's not far away. So yeah, wow. This is really amazing, big stuff. If you're holding dense energy, it's going to become very important to let that go. Like, I mean, we all have it, right? Because we have karma, we have past life preconceptions and how we've been socially engineered and stuff like that. Letting go is really important. I do that in my spiritual practice like every day. We cannot simply bypass our shadow work. We have to do it. Extremely, extremely exciting. And I look forward to any of your comments or feedback on this topic. Oh my God, I thought this was going to be like a 3-minute episode, and here I am at almost 20 minutes. Crazy. Talk to you soon. Bye.